Hey guys, Ronen here. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how the trucking dealerships rip drivers off. So we're going to be talking about how these dealerships rip off drivers when it comes to trade-ins. We're going to talk about how these dealerships rip off drivers when it comes to new trucks. And we're going to talk about how these dealerships rip you off when you're buying a used truck. Okay, with each one of these examples, I'm going to be going over also what I feel you could be doing in order to avoid them ripping you off. Hey guys, Ronen here. I've been recruiting drivers for about 15 years now, and I've heard hundreds and hundreds of drivers being mistreated by their current employers and taken advantage of by our industry providers. So I wanted to create a channel and unite North American drivers, share my knowledge, educate drivers to become more successful, and hopefully one day to make a positive impact in our industry. This channel and these videos are not meant for recruiting purposes. Some concerns that I have in our industry revolve around how drivers are being mistreated by their current employers, safety on the road, parking for drivers, and driver compensation. When we unite, we can make a difference. As me and my team continue to produce high quality and interesting videos, I do need your support in order to make a difference. Subscribe to our channel, and if you like what you see, give it a thumbs up. And for now, enjoy the video. So let's talk about how these dealerships rip you off when it comes to trade-ins. So a driver comes into a dealership and wants to trade in his old truck. So in today's world, let's say we have a 2015 Volvo or Freightliner or Peterbilt. You go into the Peterbilt dealership, you go into the Volvo dealership, you want to upgrade your truck, whether you want a new one or used one. Right now we're just taking the example of how they rip you off when it comes to your used truck. You make an appointment, you go see the sales guy. They will take your truck into the shop. While they take the truck into the shop, you're most likely going around with the salesman and you're looking at newer trucks or a brand new unit. When you finish looking at these trucks, or when the hour and a half is gone, all of a sudden the salesman goes and looks at his sheet that the mechanic shop gave him, and they put everything in the book that's wrong with your truck. Every fender bender, every scratch on your truck, the interior, the exterior, your engine, everything that they can find, they will put on this list. So now you're looking at this list and you're like, oh my God, there's so many things wrong with my truck. In reality, there's really not much wrong with your truck. It's a used truck, it's a 2015 and 16, and 90% that's on this list, they are not going to fix when they're selling it to somebody else. They're just gonna do the major stuff, which is what needs to be done for safety, and that's about it. So what they're trying to do is they're really trying to lowball you from a wholesale price. They're also taking even more to themselves. So for example, let's say in today's market, a 2015 Volvo or Cascadia is worth about $30,000. What they're going to be doing is they're going to give you a lowball offer at $15,000 and $16,000 and say, you know what, this truck is not worth anything. But in reality it is, and they're going to be selling it in their retail for at least $40,000 or $50,000. So what you should be doing, so before you go into the dealerships and before, I think you should use that dealership as a last case scenario. What you should be doing is you should be posting it from your cell phone with your smartphone. You should be posting it on Kijiji, you should be posting it on Facebook Marketplace, and you should be posting it on Auto Trader. And what you should be doing is you should try to find somebody to buy your truck while you're still driving it. The worst thing you could do is park a truck and then try to sell it. So while you're still driving the truck and it's good, and when you're working on it, obviously you're going through skills and everything is fine with it. So you should be selling your truck privately, or at least trying to sell your truck privately. And what you'll see is that maybe you won't get a retail value for it, but you'll get somewhere close to it. Now, when we're talking about the difference between a retail value or a wholesale value, if we're looking at a 2017 or 2016 Cascadia or Volvo, the retail value of those trucks are about $60,000 today. A wholesale value is about $40,000 today. And what these dealerships try to do is they try to lowball you and give you $30,000 or even $25,000 for your truck. So you really want to try, leave the dealerships for your last case scenario. That's if your engine is about to pop, that's when you give it to the dealerships, okay, to give you a lowball offer. So now we're gonna go into our second topic, is how these dealerships rip you off when it comes to new trucks. So they really like to fluctuate a lot, these dealerships, on new trucks when it comes to whether they have inventory or whether they don't have so much inventory. When they have low inventory, like when they're getting to their last 30 or 40 trucks of a certain model, then then they start lifting up the prices. When they order 200-300 trucks, that's when they start decreasing the prices on these brand new units. Please do not fall into the trap of buying this year's model. If today is 2021 and you're buying a brand new truck, you should be buying a 2022 model, not a 2021 model. So what dealerships love to do is they like to give you a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 discount for you to purchase this year's model. Well, guess what? You need to be thinking about the resale value of the truck when it comes time to it in 5 or 6 years. Today, trucks don't last that long. They're built to break, and they do it on purpose. These trucks have a lifespan of 8, maybe 9 years at most. So if we're looking today in 2021, the difference between a 2013 and a 2014 truck, it's a big difference. It's a lot more than that $3,000 discount that they're gonna give you on taking this year's model. All right, so don't fall into the trap. Another thing they like to do is all these delivery fees, these admin fees, these dock fees, all this nonsense that they came up with over the last 5 or 6 years. You never used to have these charges before. Don't fall into it. My recommendations are, if you're going to buy a brand new unit, try to do most of your negotiations over the phone and via email. So if I'm looking at a brand new Peterbilt or a brand new Freightliner Cascadia, I would call up the dealership in Mississauga, I would call up the dealership in the GTA, 3 or 4 different dealerships, and I would ask them to give you a quote for a brand new Cascadia, not for this year's model, but for next year's model. So when you have these 3 quotes in front of you or 4 quotes in front of you, you would be surprised that one dealership gave you $175,000 for a brand new unit, another dealership gave you $180,000, and the third dealership gave you $185,000. Whatever you do, do not walk into that dealership. That's where they catch you. Keep in mind that you're buying a truck and you need to think of the resale value of that truck in 4, 5, or 6 years. It's not about today's purchase price. You have to think about what is this truck going to be worth in 4 or 5 years when you're going to be selling it. So you're looking at a brand new unit. Also do your research that after 5 years, just like today, for example, is 2021, I would look at what these trucks cost, like a 2017 today, what it's worth. So go after the truck that has the best resale value in 4, 5, or 6 years when it comes time to upgrade that truck. All right, our last topic, the used trucks. This is where they make their fortunes, all right? The biggest dealerships are usually the worst dealerships when it comes to profit margins. What do I mean by that? So these big dealerships, their profit margins on these units are much higher than the smaller dealerships. The feeling that I need to have as a truck driver when I'm buying a used truck is I want to know that this dealership is going to take care of me if something happens. So this is the comfort that people get when they go to these big dealerships to buy the trucks. So if I'm buying a 2017 or a 2018 Kenworth, I want to know and I want to be sure that if something happens within 3 months, within 6 months, within the first 2 or 3 months, that this dealership is going to take care of me if something happens with the truck that I bought. If my belt rips or if I get a major repair like my turbo goes, I want to know that this dealership is going to take care of me. What do I mean by taking care of me? So I want to know that if this happens in the next 30 or 60 or 90 days, that this dealership will at least take on themselves the labor. I will pay for the part because obviously I don't expect them to pay for it, but I want them to take something on themselves. I want this reassurance, and that's why I'm going into these big dealerships. Now, if you're not getting this reassurance from them, then you really should not be paying so much money for a used truck, which is what they charge with their profit margins. I want to repeat myself that walk-ins are the worst situation that you can put yourself in. Do not walk into a dealership to buy a used truck. So one of the things that they do is that in the lots, you'll see 5 or 7 or 20 or 50 different trucks, depending on the dealership that you walk into. When you see the price on the windshield, I guarantee you that it's different than the price that they have on the internet. Okay, so let me repeat that. When you're walking in a walk-in, the price that you see on the windshield is different than the price that you would see on the internet. And the reason why they do this is because these big dealerships, they have a lot of walk-ins, and that's where they hook you. Another thing, do not get fooled by the 0% financing. It's a joke, it doesn't exist. Nobody in this world will give you 0% financing. There's no such thing. They will front load the profit on the value of the truck. So what do I mean by that? Meaning that if it's a $50,000 truck, they'll sell it to you for $57,000 and they'll put 0% financing in there. Don't believe it, it doesn't exist. They will make their money somewhere, especially if they're doing the financing. Another thing that I see happening is with walk-ins and how they hook you is not by the price, not just by the price difference. They also hook you with the price is not inclusive with something. What do I mean by that? So here you are negotiating with your sales rep and all of a sudden he tells you, listen, the safety is not included in the price. Well, what do you mean the safety is not included in the price? It needs to be included in the price. And all of a sudden now they're charging you an extra $1,000 or $2,000 for you to get a safety. All right, so my 2 cents on how I think you should be purchasing a used truck. If I want to buy a Kenworth or a Peterbilt or a Volvo, what I would do is I would get the year that I want to buy. So let's say I want to buy a 2018 or 2019, right? I want to buy a used truck. I would make myself a note, 2018. Then I would research 7, 8, 9 different trucks in the market. Remember, the only thing that holds a value of a truck is 2 things. Number 1 is the year, and number 2 is the kilometers or miles that a truck has. That's it. Nothing else holds its value. So when you're buying a used truck, okay, make yourself a list of the model and the year that you want to get. So a 2018, we'll take a Freightliner Cascadia for an example. We want to buy a 2018. We start searching the market on who has these 2018s, which dealerships. I would put the price and the kilometers on the unit, and I would choose at least 7, 8, or 9 different ones. And then I would eliminate the expensive ones and I will go and see the top 2. So let's say I have one at $70,000 and one at $65,000, and then the rest of them are all 80, 90, 95. So make sure that it has the kilometers are comparable and that the year is comparable. So when you finally figure out those 2 trucks, I would go and pay them a visit, see where your heart lies. What I would do is you must always take a test drive with the truck. Do not buy a truck without driving it. I would go even one step further as I would hook on a loaded trailer to that truck and drive it around for an hour. I would highly recommend doing this, and I also highly recommend is you take this truck to a mechanic shop that you are familiar with or you've used before in the past, and I would pay the $300 or $400 fee in order to get that truck inspected. Then only once you've driven it and only once you've taken it and your mechanic has gone over it, then I would feel comfortable to give an offer for that truck. And don't be afraid to negotiate with these dealers, okay? Their profit margins are through the roof on these used trucks. Don't be afraid to negotiate with them. Another thing that I would do before buying the used truck is I would go into the dealership's reviews. Google reviews are very, very powerful these days. I would go and read what other drivers, what other people that have bought trucks from them. I would read the reviews on what kind of trucks or people's experiences with this dealership. These are just some examples over here that I will post up of where I feel that, you know, this should make you think twice about these dealerships. I'm not going to say the name of the dealerships that I'm going to be going, but here's one. Here's a guy that's saying, I'm giving a 1 star only because I can't give 0. I bought a 2015 VNL 670 and I'm not going to disclose which dealership this is. I'm not in it to bash anybody. The truck was sold with no oil in the motor to cover the fact that I had a major oil leak. The water pump was leaking. The transmission had no fluid. So one thing I have a problem with this review is, you know, where were your eyes before when you purchased this truck? Did you not take it for an inspection? Did you not see these things? By the time I got to the yard, the engine was covered in coolant and oil. Well, if you would have taken this truck for a drive for an hour with a loaded trailer, you would have seen all these things. Okay, so that's why I keep preaching on you must take these these trucks for a test drive. And if the dealership does not want to allow you to test drive it, there's something wrong with the dealership and there's something wrong with that truck. Make sure you drive the truck. I'm just gonna post one more review. If you guys want, you're more than welcome to read it. But here's somebody posting about the fact that he bought 2 units off of a dealership. He didn't get the full disclosure and he was very, very upset with the purchase that he made. Again, inside this review, he bought it without even looking at the truck. I don't know who buys trucks without looking at them, but not what I would recommend. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I was able to bring you a little bit of information on what I would do in these situations when buying a truck. I hope I can save you guys from getting lured into the hooks. Do not fall for these scams when you're doing a trade-in. Do not fall for these scams when you're buying a new truck. And especially do not fall for these scams when you're buying a used truck.